Zesty, Rancia di Capri, Terre d'Hermes Eau Givre. It's quite citrusy, isn't it? Morning. Yes, I'm in my running gear again. You know what that means. It is a fitness fragrance review or a fitness fragrance face-off again. And today it's the citrus edition. So what you would have just seen is three very, very much heavy citrus forward fragrances. So the first one I mentioned was Lush Zesty by Lush, obviously. And that one there by Acqua di Parma, Rancia di Capri. And then by Hermes, Terre d'Hermes Eau Givre. And really what I want to do today, if you haven't seen these before, essentially I'm going to do a morning workout. So I'm going to go for a run, walk to the gym, do a gym workout, walk back, all while wearing these three fragrances. And on my fitness fragrance reviews, I rank them on 5 categories. Price/value for money, its versatility is how much you can use it in different situations. Its projection and performance, how much I notice it during my run. Its compliment factor, so how much it's going to get compliments, and also longevity, and we'll do a bit of a shower test, we'll do some other tests as well today. And I want to see out of those 5 categories, which one of those 3 fragrances is the best. So what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to apply the fragrances in a minute, and I'm just going to talk about what actual note is in them, what is making these citrusy fragrances, what is the actual ingredient, what is the note that's making those stand out as citrus forward fragrance. Let's start with Lush Zesty Body Spray. So recently bought this one. You would have probably seen I did a review on this lately. Essentially though, this one is about lime and neroli, but lime is the main reason I'm looking at this. I'll just read the little bit of information on the front. A cheerful blend of refreshing lime and uplifting neroli to make your day. Spritz on for a burst of happiness and joy. So I'm just going to spray this one here on this side 5 times, and you really get that. It's this really, really zesty, as the name says, lime, and it's great. It's also got this fizz about it. It's like a fizzy drink, a little bit like a mojito, something like that. Very, very pleasant, very wearable. And yeah, so this one today is all about the lime. We then go on to this one by Acqua di Parma, so a Rancia di Capri. This is part of their Blue Mediterranean line. This is all about mandarin orange. It is an amazing scent. I don't understand it though. In the base, it talks about the fact it's got caramel. You get nothing about this. This is like an orange squash, a nice orange drink. So the other one I said would look like a lime mojito. This one's very much all about the orange. So spray this one. And I say this all the time about Acqua di Parma. They are the best for citrus fragrances. Clean fragrances. I think they're the best. Their Colonia line is absolutely fantastic. And that orange, I'm just getting it coming through now. So realistic. You can get very, very cheap synthetic orange type fragrances. This isn't as zesty as the other one. This is actually quite a sweet, juicy orange. And it's really pleasant. Again, more like the sort of squash than anything like boozy or too zesty, but are very much all about the citrus. Super, super strong in the opening anyway. It's not the strongest fragrance, as we'll probably see later on in this review. Now, the last one is Terre d'Hermes Eau Givre. So this is a flanker of the original Terre d'Hermes. The original Terre d'Hermes is like this earthy orange smell, bit of flint, gives that mineral type vibe, bit vegetal. This one's a little bit lighter, it's a bit different. The top note in this and the main citrus here is citron, or citron. I didn't know what that was. I assumed it was a lemon, and if you see a picture of it, it looks exactly the same as a lemon. Apparently it's a slightly bigger fruit than that, and it's not quite as tart. And this one, I'll just spray this on my arms, on the sleeves. It's really nice. I mean, again, I almost think it is that lemon smell, but it's actually quite... It's always got a green vibe, and I've always said it smells a little bit like a tomato greenhouse, if you walk through a tomato greenhouse. But again, very natural, very much summer, citrus heavy. But there is a little bit more depth in this one as well. A little bit like the original Terre d'Hermes, but certainly a lighter one. Maybe there's a little bit of musk in this. But essentially, it's those 3 fruits we're looking at. So those 3 citruses. So lime in the Lush Body Spray. Rancia di Capri is all about the mandarin orange. And this one's all about the citron. All in those opening notes. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to essentially go for a run in a minute. It is raining again. Absolutely typical. But yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the first 2 categories on my runs. I'm going to talk about price/value for money for these fragrances. There is a little bit of variance with these, of course. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be a bit varied. And also its versatility is how much you can use these 3 fragrances in different situations. So, are you ready? Let's go. Well, I'm trying some new shoes today, and they feel so bouncy. I feel like I'm running on clouds. So hopefully they're going to be comfy. I'm going to stay local Anyway, price slash value for money for the 3 citrus heavy body sprays. So I'm going to rank them again. 3 points for what comes first, 2 points for second, and the one that I think is the most expensive, not as good value for money, will get 1 point. So you would have seen the cheapest one is Zesty by Lush. £28 for that 200ml body spray. Again, I must repeat, the body sprays, they perform like proper fragrances. They are amazing, and they do spray a huge mist, so you definitely need 200ml. Per 100ml for a Rancia Decoupry, because as you would see, it's a 150ml bottle. The newer versions are in now 100ml. It's £70 though for 100ml, essentially, for the size per mil. And then the Hermes Eau Givre, again around that similar sort of price range, you know, around 66, 68 sort of pound for 100ml. So what do I think is the best value for money? I'm going to go straight into it. 3 points I'm going to give to Zesty. Now you can just look at that based on the price and go, well, that's the cheapest. You can get like 2 of those for the same price as some of the others. And, you know, for me, it's just so natural. Lush, again, their body sprays, they're really natural smelling. And this one is a real high quality, very realistic lime. Again, lime oil is in it. And you just get this vibe of, you just feel calm and uplifting. It really is uplifting. When I think of zesty things, I think uplifting. And this is it. There's nothing too complicated with this lime and neroli. You know, there's not a lot going on. But it's simplicity done really well. And it's so easy to pull off. Man, woman, we'll talk about versatility later. But any age could pull this off. It's, again, citrus scents in general are. But it's one where I think it's more of a casual, simple scent. But because it's so light in terms of, you know, it's not complicated, it's not heavy, it's just going to give you that happy vibe, and anyone around you as well. And where it is such a strong mist, people are going to notice you, want to follow your trail. And first time I smelled it, it's not just a boring citrus, it's simple, but it's simplicity done right. So that's one's getting 3 points for me. I'm actually going to give second place here to a Rancia Decoupry, because I think citrus scents are quite hard to really smell like high quality, high class. When I think of dressing up, I always think of something that's got a bit more, you know, heavier notes in leather, vanilla, those sort of things. This one's just got quality about it. Acre Palmer smells super quality, and it has that niche vibe about it. Yes, it just smells mainly like a nice sweet orange drink, but there is an element of sophistication here. I don't know whether it's that musk in it or something in it. Maybe it's that sort of caramel that's adding a bit more depth, even though it's not reprojecting. That just smells a little bit higher quality than both these other 2 fragrances. And I'm really doing a trade-off here between quality and just general price. And that one for me has enough quality to outweigh the fact it is a higher price. And that just unfortunately means Eau Givre comes last. I think it's got the best of both worlds in the sense of value for money and quality. But the other 2 stand out more on those individual things. So value for money, in terms of just paying a price, I think Zesty's better. And that quality of an Rancia Decoupry Lactite just makes that one stand out a bit more. And this one kind of just sits in the middle where it's a little bit more forgettable between the 2. So that one gets 1 point. Anyway, we're going to go on to versatility now. Right, versatility. Now this one, before I started this competition today, this was always going to be the hardest round, because I think in general citrus fragrances are quite versatile. When you think about it, they're meant to be more worn in the summer, springtime when it's a bit warmer, and that means they're never too wrong in any situation. Yes, they may not cut through the cold, but they're not as daring, which means you can wear them in more situations. They're more recognisable scents that are in things like room sprays and, you know, all sorts of scent things. Citrus tends to be a popular note. Now this is tough. Now you could argue here Eau Givre is masculine fragrance. It's got a bit more of a spiciness to it. Maybe it has a bit of zest, but there's something else in it, I think, that adds a bit more of a depth to it. A little bit more smoky. It definitely leans more masculine, that one. So you could easily mark that down in that sense. But a Rancia Decoupry, again, it's a unisex fragrance by Acre Palmer. But I look at that one and think it's a little bit more sophisticated. Again, a younger person might think
this is quite classy, but again, may not have that appreciation. So, you know, in that sense, you may think, maybe it's not as versatile as the other two. But then Zesty, that one's a lot more casual, a lot easier to put off and say. But it doesn't feel suitable. Again, I would not dress that one up. So they've all essentially here got nuances of being exactly the same. They could all get 3 points and they could all come last in this. So how am I going to separate this? What one? I suppose I'm going to have to go a little bit on my judgment here. What one do I think could do the most situations for the most people? Right, so I'm going to say Zesty's the best for gym settings. Arancia di Capri's the best for dressing up. And then I think Hermes does the best of both worlds. Look, I could wear that one today at the gym. And do I think a woman could pull it off? Yes, I do. I think if this was marketed as unisex, I think a woman could pull this off absolutely fine. Look, Acqua di Parma, expensive niche brand, they always market their phrases to men and women, even leather, even oud. And I actually think I'm going to put that one last for that reason. It's just a little bit more sophisticated, a bit more grown up. And even though it is a little bit better maybe for those situations, it's not strong enough to cut through the cold. That's why I don't think even as a dress-up scent, I wouldn't reach for it. So I'm going to put that in last. Second, I'm going to put Zesty. That Zesty's a great fragrance, but it is quite linear. And I think in the sense of, when I think of versatility, I always want a bit more depth. I always say some of the most versatile scents I've had are ones that are woody, green. They've got loads of nuances. They go into different genres. They go into floral components. They go into sweet components. And I just think, in general, Eau Givre's got the best for that. It's got more things going on. And I think it deserves a bit of credit for that. So second, Zesty. And then first, Hermes Eau Givre is going to win this round. So what I'm going to do, get this run done. We'll talk about projection, how much I'm noticing these fragrances during my run.
Workout done, 14 miles this morning, felt really good. Those shoes, they were very comfy. So it's time to talk about projection next. If you haven't seen these before, I'm going to spray my room. I'm going to do 5 of each spray, so let's do Zesty first. And essentially what I'm doing, I'm going to spray my arm as well, I'll talk about that in a minute. Essentially what I'm doing though for projection is seeing how much each fragrance fills up the room. So if a colleague came in, or again if you're at home, how much would someone notice the fragrance if they came in? So there's the Acqua di Parma Arancia di Capri. And then what I'll do in a minute, I'll go downstairs, have a cup of tea. So 10 minutes time I'll come up and I'll see if I can smell any fragrance in particular. What I've also done, as you just saw with Zesty, I've just started to spray my arm. So essentially I'm applying the fragrance. I'll put Arancia di Capri here on my arm. It's just gone 9:05. And then in about 3 hours time when I leave the gym, we'll see which fragrance I can still smell, how strong they smell. So I won't be applying it again until after, essentially, when I get home later today. So time to head downstairs, have something to eat, and we'll talk about projection during my run. Did I notice any of the fragrances? So good. So projection during my run, how much did I notice the fragrances? Did I notice any of the fragrances? Well, there's one that I definitely didn't notice, and it's probably no surprise. It was Acqua di Parma's Arancia di Capri. Again, it's quite cold out there today. I never really got too hot, to be honest with you. And this just isn't one to cut through the cold. I think if it was on my neck and it was quite warm, I probably would get about that hour's projection. But it really doesn't go much beyond that, even at its best time. Maybe 2 hours tops. It's one of those fragrances you just need to reapply during the day. And it's such a shame. So people on Fragrantica, they will say the same thing with that one. Then I noticed Eau Givre. Eau Givre more so because, again, I sprayed it on my arms today. You may have saw that at the start of the video. It wasn't super strong. I mean, it was more a case of when I was doing that to kind of rub my nose. But I did still smell it a couple of times. But I think with that movement, that's probably making it a bit unfair to be too critical on the projection there. But it was okay. It was there. But the one that I really noticed the most was Zesty. Zesty I sprayed on this side of my top earlier. And I smelled it on a couple of occasions, one about halfway and one about 10 minutes before I finished. So it's done really well there. And it's the one that felt the most suitable for running as well. It's the one that I was really, at the 3, it was the one I wanted to come and find me. And I didn't have to look for it at all. It just popped up when I stopped, changed direction with the wind. And it just worked. It's just so uplifting, and it's a little bit more casual, as I said, and essentially a bit more simplistic. And that's what you want with fragrances when you're running as well. So what I'm going to do, finish this tea, we'll head upstairs and we'll see which one wins the room spray test and then give a score on projection. it's time to head upstairs and see what we can smell, what we can detect. Hat hair, but I need to take it off. Do you know, those new shoes have made a big difference. My knees feel so much better today. So nothing at the top of the stairs, so I think I'm going to have to go into my room, which I'd probably expect with citrus fragrances. Right, there's no Arancia di Caprice. We can safely say that one has come last, the Acqua di Parma fragrance. Oh, it's really close here between Zesty and Ogiva. I'm getting them both, definitely. And again, where they are citrus heavy fragrances, and again, citron and probably the lime are a little bit more similar than the orange. It's easier to detect orange probably from those two, especially this one because it's a sweeter orange in the Acqua di Parma. I think it's probably just Zesty, but I'm going to give Zesty first place anyway because I noticed it more on my run and it was just more pleasant in general. And I think if I'm a person wearing either fragrance, I'd be absolutely fine wearing them. But I think even if I had to pick between the two, which one I think is safer, and that I honestly mean they are both super safe. I just think Zesty edges it. So I think the fact it just projects that a little bit more, I noticed it more on my run, and I think I'd feel just a little bit more comfortable wearing it because it is straight down the middle unisex. I'm going to have to give projection to that one. So what we're going to do, we're going to head down to the gym. Thankfully, it's currently not raining. So we'll walk down. We'll talk about compliment. In fact, have I had any compliments on these fragrances? And yeah, do I think they'll be compliment getting fragrances? Okay then, so compliment factor. Which fragrance out of these do I think is the best for compliments? Again, this is a super hard round to pick, a really tough round, because I think they all are to a degree. I think it's kind of what you like more than anything, to be honest, because I kind of bought them all in the sense that, you know, they're quite easy to pull off. And I always think fragrances on the whole for compliments, that's the best thing. You want something that's easy to pull off on the whole. It's not going to be too divisive. And ultimately just be a little bit of a statement. If you can get a statement type scent, that's great. But look, Dior Sauvage isn't a statement, is it? It's one of the most well-known fragrances out there. So it doesn't always have to be that thing. Just for me personally, that's what I'm looking for. So the question I would probably say is, look, they're all in that summer genre of fragrance. Which one's the biggest one for a statement? I'd probably say Arancia di Capri. The only issue with that one is always going to be, can it get enough projection? Can it get enough longevity for someone to actually notice it? Because if it does, then for me this would be number one for compliments. I think Zesty's probably one of those where, again, it's so casual, it's so easy to put off. You're going to get good comments. You may not get those real wow ones. So if you're someone who really wants like those real wow, what is that? I have to get it. Tell me what it is. I don't know if that one is that so much. I think it's just very refreshing, very much almost for you as much as anyone else. And then Ogiva. Now, I'm only going on my experience of this because I haven't really got any experience wearing compliments of these. Again, I tend to wear sweeter ones for those situations. Look, Hermes does great fragrances. Would I pick that one over the original Terre d'Hermes? Probably not, even for compliments. I think it's easier to pull off, but I've always had great compliments on the original Terre d'Hermes. And Rhubarbe Eclat, which is the other one I own, which is like a fruity summer fragrance, not quite in the citrus side. I think it's better. I think it's actually better. So again, it's not my number one summer fragrance. So for that reason, I'm actually going to put that one. I'm going to put that one third. I'm going to put Ogiva third, just because I don't think it. I think it's probably the one that's more divisive out of the lot, and it's not divisive at all. But it may be. I think Hermes does some great fragrances, and it probably just falls down as a result of that. This is a great one as well, but maybe it just falls a little bit behind in that sense. Second one, I'm going to put Zesty, just because again I think it's much more casual and that you'll get some great compliments, and it will get the projection, the performance. Actually, the two I've put the second and third here will be better than what I've put number one in terms of projection, but it's not as much a wow factor. And I'm going to put Arancia di Capri first, because I think if I was blindfolded and I was just asking people in the street or just myself which one smells the best of the three if I didn't know them, I'd probably say that one. And I remember when I first heard it, my brother had it years ago, and I just never forgot that smell, and it's been around since 1999, and I think that says something about it. A citrus scent that so many are made, and that one's lasted the test of time and it's still doing well even despite those longevity issues. Don't think we can complain about that, so I'm going to put Arancia di Capri first. Of course, if I get any compliments at the gym today, I will change the positions if it's not that one. Maybe we'll give a bonus point if Arancia di Capri wins it. workout done, no compliments. This toilet absolutely stinks, by the way, so I'm glad I've got the fragrances on. Now they all smell, to be fair, pretty strong. I'm really surprised. And Rancid Di Capri, I think it's better on your skin. I think it's such a high quality fragrance like Acqua di Parma just is. And I think it just lasts better on skin than it does on clothing. It's not really projecting, but it's very nice. I'd probably say, and I'm really, no, hang on. No, I think Zesty is still my favourite of the ones to wear at the gym. But I really enjoyed Eau Givre. Eau Givre seems to have the best of both worlds. It's actually got quite good performance on it, and it is pretty strong. There's a little bit of complexity. It kind of made me go back to it a little bit more. So yeah, really, really happy with that. I think that one might do well on longevity, but of course, there's only one way to find out. So I'm going to go have a shower, and it'll be 3 hours since I applied the fragrances essentially, and we'll see which one comes out on top in the longevity test. Okay, it's 11:58. I've left a little bit earlier today, so it's time to smell one and see which fragrances last the best out of the three we've got. So that's Zesty, Rancid Di Capri, and Eau Givre. There's a pretty obvious winner here, and it's Terre d'Hermès Eau Givre. And I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier on. I think this one definitely smells a little bit more masculine, and it feels like there's a peppery spiciness in it. That may be coming from the citron. It's definitely still that citron that's the heavy note in this and the dominant thing. But there's definitely something that makes it more masculine than the other two. And I think that's brought a little bit more depth and made it a little bit heavier. And that's why it's got more staying power. It's probably about 65% strong. I think this is a brilliant fragrance for longevity. If anyone, well, so far from the Hermès or Terre d'Hermès line anyway, they've always been really good. I have to say they've been great. I'd probably say next, probably Zesty, and I'm saying that's about 35 to 40%. Not bad at all. It's okay, it's still there. And again, I think if I wasn't doing a workout and having a shower, this would have got me through the day. But yeah, 65% I'd say to 70% for the Eau Givre, and about 40 to 45% maybe for Zesty. And then Rancid Di Capri, I'm relieved to say it's still there, and again I think that goes back to just the quality of the oils in this, but it's probably about 10-15%. I think this is the one where I think you definitely need to reapply for whatever. It just hasn't got the staying power, but again I think it is more just one of those top up scents, one just to keep you going through the day, and that's fine. We don't have to have these really heavy scents. They're not designed for it. This is a summer fragrance, and as I said earlier, it's been around since 1999. It's going to have to come in last place because it really has pretty much worn off now. Very much, you've got to bury your nose into your skin. So yeah, 3 points for Eau Givre, 2 there for Zesty, and unfortunately 1 for Rancid Di Capri. I don't know what the scores are for this. I reckon it's pretty close though. I feel like I've really given a mixed review today. It's been so tough to pick, and they're all 3 amazing citrus fragrances. So I'm going to head back, count up all the scores, and yeah, I'll give my overall thoughts. We are back. So how many steps have I done today? 39,609, all while wearing 3 different citrus heavy fragrances, which were Lush Zesty Body Spray, Acqua di Parma Rancid Di Capri, and then the original Terre d'Hermès flanker. This one is Eau Givre. So 30 points up for grabs, 6 points per round essentially. What was the overall winner? Let's go from third to first. So I had to use some sticky notes to count this all up. Unfortunately today, Acqua di Parma Rancid Di Capri came third. Again, a lovely orange scent. And purely on scent, I think the actual opening of this fragrance is top tier. I really, really think it's top tier. I think it's the nicest smelling, which is why it won the compliment factor round. I just wish it lasted a bit longer. I wish they could turn this Eau de Toilette into an Eau de Parfum, because this has got everything. It is Acqua di Parma at its finest. So that got 8 points out of the possible 30 that were up for grabs essentially today. Then in second place, it got 12 points. No, it didn't. It got 10 points, this one. Terre d'Hermès Eau Givre. So, again, really, really nice scent. I actually gave it its lowest marks on its price/value for money. And I don't mean that in a bad way. This is fantastic value for money. The only reason I had to put it in last place because I think the opening of the Acqua di Parma fragrance was better. I think this one is actually overall just a nicer sort of price. It's much more manageable for most people, and it's 200ml. Again, similar size. I just thought the other two just stood out more in that range. That one's the best of both worlds, but not stellar in either, which means there was one winner, and it was this one here, Lush Zesty. And to be honest with you, it deserves it because it didn't get a 1 point in any of the rounds, and it got in total 12 out of 30 points. So 12 first place, 10 for Ogivre, and 8 for Acqua di Parma, Arancia di Capri. And I just love this one. It's just so easy to pull off. It's completely unisex as well, which makes it very wearable and just puts you in a good mood. It's really utilised lime well without it being too harsh, too aggressive. They've just done simplicity well. This is no frills. And actually, Lush are very good at making some really confusing gourmands that are quite extravagant. This just tones it back. This just goes simple, clean, fresh. But it's modern, it's youthful, and it just smells quality. As again, Lush always do proper natural fragrances, and genuinely, when I've spent a lot more on 2 fragrances there, and I've picked this one, it's better than both of them. I hope that speaks volumes as well. It doesn't matter sometimes. Sometimes you think, oh, I spent more, so it's got to be better, and I'm going to be a bit biased. Not at all. This is better than those in my opinion. It does more jobs, and it's just super safe. And to be honest, when I smell it compared to the other two, it projects really, really well. Yes, it didn't survive the shower test as well, but other than that, it's a top scent, and it's for me one of the best citruses out there. I can't get enough of it. I think the minute it goes, I'm going to buy another one, and I very rarely do that with bottles. I tend to get to the end and want to change. But thank you very much for watching today. I'm going to do another one tomorrow. I think I'm going to look more at the sweeter fragrances again because I've done a lot of freshies, but obviously this time of year it's more about the sweeter fragrances. So yeah, you'll see that hopefully very soon as well. But thank you very much for watching today. Time for a lie down, I think. Catch you later.